Now, we've all heard that Donald Trump has reneged on the Iran nuclear deal. And I mean, did you hear him announcing it on TV? I mean, so obvious that there were some really big words and he was trying so hard to
read from the script.
And then, you know, he was squinting as well because there were some really big words.
Hands, the small hands.
Tiny
big
fingers.
Palm, you know.
I mean, the other thing was he's so orange as well. It's like watching Oompa Loompa.
Let's not get personal. Let's talk about...
It's hard to concentrate though, you know.
I know.
It is hard to concentrate. And I mean, you know, you've got him, insane head of the United States, and of course you've got the other side, which are the Iranians, who after hearing the news of the cancelling of the Iran nuclear deal, well, they just went and set the US flag on fire in the Iranian assembly.
Yes, and they tried to light a piece of paper with difficulty.
I mean, for people who keep setting things on fire, you would think...
Very incompetent bunch.
They would be more competent, seriously. Yeah.
Yes, this shows the whole farce regarding the sanctions. Clearly, United States hasn't been happy with the result of the negotiations because they haven't made as much business in Iran and Middle East. So that's one of the reasons.
I think that is one of the things, because when you were looking at the reaction of the European governments that have really big investments in Iran, they're getting really upset. And for the first time, they're like, we're not listening to the US. We're going to keep the agreement going because, you know, everything does come down to
absolutely.
profit,
I mean, it's very clear when you look at it, it's nothing to do about different. It's about the United States. You know, with the military might that he has, he's not making enough money. He doesn't have enough influence. When they talk about influence and security, they're talking about the fact that they're not able to make enough. You know, the companies are not making enough profit. Of course, there are other factors involved as well. But this is so apparent that the European Union, they want to have the the relationship with the Islamic regime of Iran, not with Iran, with the Islamic regime of Iran. They're happy with that arrangement to keep the Islamic regime in power and continue doing business with them. They're very upset about this. But John Bolton and the United States administration have said, no, 90 days, you got to stop it because we're not making enough money, so you can't have it as well.
And that's what it is. And a lot of it is also, the sort of, posturing and trying to gain and regain influence, especially because the Iranian regime's influence in the region has gone up. It's got its hand in everything. Trump rightly said that Iran is a base of state terrorism across the world. And, one of the things I would say is, well, it definitely takes one to know one. And the US has just as much of a negative impact across the globe, and it's regressive forces fighting against each other, trying to gain more influence, more money, more power. And who suffers here?
Yes, people of Iran, people of Iraq, people of Syria, people of Israel. All of them are pulling from the other different directions, and they're trying to use people and the people's livelihood effectively. Sanctions, is going to affect the Iranian population. The tension between Iranian forces and Israel is going to affect the life of Israeli citizens. And look what's happened to the Syrian people's life. I mean, how many millions of people have been, they've lost their home, they had to flee, and also those who stayed. Look at the state of life in Syria. Look at the state of life in Iraq.
Yeah, and there are people...
This is not going to be an end to this. I think, unfortunately...
It's very dangerous.
There is a solution, but at the same time, everybody in their own country need to resist against the forces of reaction who actually want to destroy Middle East. That the objective is to completely erase Middle East and rebuild it again. That's what they have the series. And people's life is not important.
And one of the things we're seeing too is that people are taking sides with these reactionary forces. So there's some people who are celebrating Trump's, tearing up the agreement, and other people are saying, oh, poor old Iranian regime, they're not doing anything illegal. It's, the Israeli government that's illegally attacking, and so on and so forth.
And they're saying that the Iranian government is legally in Syria.
Illegally in Syria at the invitation of Bashar Assad. So the whole point is, though, that taking sides with these reactionary forces that are in it for their own interests and they don't care about human rights or human lives is an absurdity. We need to not look at them as the solution. They're part of the problem, and it's really the sort of people-to-people solidarity that can help to change things for the better. And also, of course, there are people who are very concerned. Those of us who have family in Iran, for example, well, just anyone, even if they don't have family there, will understand what a lot of pressure, economic sanctions that are going to follow will bring on people. It's going to make things even more difficult. And we already know that even with the agreement in Iran in December, there were these huge protests for bread, for freedom. People are hungry, people are, poor, and a large percentage of the population are, and this is not going to make things any better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not. The reality is that people of Iran are going to suffer. There's going to be more tension in the Middle East. There's going to be more trouble in Syria. It's going to be more difficult for people in Israel. All the dark forces are actually getting together to make life difficult for people, and they don't care actually with people's lives. So I think the solution really is to resist on all fronts. Mm-hmm. On all fronts, people need to resist and bring people together. The peace movement in Israel needs to put a hands of people who protesting people in Iran, in Iraq, and Syria. We all need to get, and in America and Europe, get together and put an end to this.
Because we know their solution is, the Iraqization, the Syriaization of that region and the world, effectively. And the only way we can stop it is to resist it. And I mean, here we are between an Oompa Loompa with very tiny hands and an entire parliament that can't even light a piece of paper.
Yes, it's just a bunch of reactionary and murderers.
Yeah, taking sides with them is
wrong.